Hello, and welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Today, this message is a big part of my story. It's part release, and it's an invitation for you to remember how healing just truly works. So, let's take a moment and get grounded because I know I sure need it here. So, just a nice deep breath in. Oh, breathe it all the way into your toes and let it back out. Whew. Okay. Yeah, your host has got to be grounded. We got to be grounded to do this. And it's been pointed out to me lately, I'm not as grounded as I think I am. So, in true Amanda fashion, I've been scrolling around. So, yeah, just get into it. So, today is From Handouts to Healing. It's a radical kindness and the evolution of care. I'm Amanda Beth, an intuitive healer and wellness coach, coming to you today to talk about some things that have come up that I think really bear repeating and sharing. Of course, this is Tuesday's update on what did Amanda do over the weekend. And this last weekend, I had the opportunity to really highlight and promote the healing aspects of the things I do, focusing on the Iowa Salt Pod, the float tank experience, and how all of that works and comes together. So we had a community event to promote mental health awareness. We have a new psychiatrist. Gosh, I knew I was going to look this up and mess it up. Anyway, she is new to town. She is a psychiatrist, and she is treating individuals in our community. And here in rural Iowa, resources are at such a premium. And I know that there are so many people that just don't have access to care. They don't have the resources for the care once they find it. So I think it's really, really important for our community, number one, to come together. Um, our suicide rate here in our county is 100 times the national average. We are a small rural farming community, and it affects everyone. And the stresses here are just really incredible. And I had the opportunity to chat a bit with Jessica about this, it- and her observations are the same as many of my observations, and that we are all so overstimulated and we're unsupported in our world. People are overwhelmed. The resources do exist, but they're not always accessible. And kindness really feels kind of rare when you're in that state. So, as much as we've worked to acknowledge mental health needs, to normalize it, and I don't like that word. I don't like those things together, but that's what it is. And so Sunday I was at this community event, and it was very, very well attended. And there was a psychiatrist who came in and did a presentation talking about diagnostic criteria and how all of that has changed over the years. And when I was in college in the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, there's my age. I was working from one DSM. I think it was the 3R. We are up to the 5R, so the fifth edition. And these are the DSM is a diagnostics statistics manual, and it's the criteria that's used to make a mental health diagnosis. And so in this, he delineated out that there are some things that are physical challenges that we have. If your thyroid's off, you can be tired and lethargic and depressed. And so this manual helps to remind clinicians to rule out any physical health things that could be presenting as mental health issues. And then the things that consistently need to be met. There are a period of time, a number of symptoms and conditions to have a diagnosis. Um, I like to look at people as a whole person and not a diagnosis or a label. I kind of get the labels have their purpose, they have their place, insurances and so forth and so on for that. But basically, we're humans and we need to take care of and address those symptoms. And I find that people have a lot of relief by using the float tanks, the float pods, doing float therapy. And I have the opportunity to offer those services. I also have some homeopathic remedies that also help individuals through those symptoms so that they can be happier and better adjusted into the everyday society. So, and this goes into something else that I'm doing, that purge, that ongoing purge. My basement is going to be so clean and clear. I'll be able to rent space, I think. But anyway, um, after attending this and reacquainting with the struggles in the mental health arena, then I was working on some of the last boxes in my basement. And these are boxes that came from my office that I put away 22 years ago. They were brought from my office where I was a social worker working with families in crisis and children that were at risk of going into the foster care system if their families didn't make some changes. And so I did parenting education. We dealt with lots of mental health, substance use and abuse. And so teaching families and looking at all those aspects. And those were the boxes that I was sorting yesterday. And doing this on the heels of doing this workshop on Sunday, and then to be sorting through all the boxes and the criteria. And I threw out over three legal legal boxes that, bigger than the banker boxes, the really long ones of handouts and guides and criteria. And it was sad, and it was also refreshing. Um, those handouts, I was the handout queen, and I really believed deeply that those were the tools to give my clients, those families, a path to better life. And at the time that I was doing this work, they were cutting edge. And I guess my belief in worksheets was that it gave my clients a way to manage working on the things that we were working toward when I wasn't actively there, and then to come back together and discuss the worksheets and how they fit or didn't fit in their lives and what they could do and the changes they could make. And then they would be able to hang on to those nuggets of information after I left. The services that we did were very intensive. They were 6 or 8 weeks um, in the family's home to make a difference, and then our services were finished. They would graduate onto, less intensive services, of course, but, so and I look at these handouts that I was so attached to. I brought them home. I stored them in my basement for 22 years. And now I look at them and I see how far we have come to better understanding individuals, and I don't regret who I was, but I really truly honor that the growth that I have made in helping individuals in finding more ways to help. So today I'm still guiding people, and I'm doing it a little bit differently, not with all these packets of worksheets and uh, burning out all the ink in a Xerox machine, but it's presence and its integration. How can they really use it? So, looking at the old ways and understanding the diagnostic criteria, and now looking at better regulating our nervous systems, identifying what those stresses and triggers, just like we talked about last week, and I've talked about many times, finding that quiet space, quieting that mental chatter and that overwhelm. And so being able to provide other support systems like flotation, I think is so awesome. I've got some handouts if you want more information about floating and that neurological reset that the float gives you. Please reach out. Let me know in the comments. DM me. We'll get you connected with why this works. So unfortunately, and when in the early 90s when I was working as a social worker clear up through the 2000s, I spent 15 years in human services. And I know the pendulum swings, the pendulum in healthcare, the pendulum in mental health, the pendulum in everything. And I remember in the 90s feeling that, we were at the top of this swing, that services were really, they felt like they were non-existent. And I really thought that we were onto something. This pendulum would come back and we would see a day where services would be better. And I'm not seeing that. And I don't understand. There's system things in there. There's things that are beyond me. But that makes me feel like I really need to dig my heels in. And we just, although the approaches have advanced, the medications have advanced, not everyone's eligible to do that. And when I worked in the medical office, I remember when a new mental health medication would come through, those medications started out at over $800 a month. And there's such a vicious cycle in that. Yes, your insurance covers it, but oftentimes your mental health situation prevents you from having a job that has the insurance coverage that allows you to pay for the medications, and without the medications, you know it it's a revolving door. I have family members, I have close friends. I know a lot of people that are in that revolving door system, and so I feel committed even more to offering what I can to help individuals get through these areas in life to manage their symptoms. Not a doctor, I can't prescribe pharmaceuticals, and I don't always know that that's the best either, because we all know Amanda's a bit anti-pharma, so, we'll put that there. But I think that more than advice, we all need more space. We need safe space, and that safe space ties into my float room, uh, this neurological reset, and it works amazing. We're finding more and more studies. The work of Dr. Justin Feinstein and the Float Research Collective is showing more and more the broad spectrum that flotation addresses, including um, the overstimulation and neurodivergence. So there's really cool stuff. So having more patience, having more time, stepping back in life. Um, just life's too short to rush through it. And so let's extend kindness. Kindness is still free. I stand in the grocery line and standing behind someone who wants to pay for their groceries with the exact change, digging out of their coin purse. Not not because they're destitute, but because that's what they want to do. They want to provide the correct and proper change. I'm going to step back and I'm going to honor that person in their space. I'm not going to rush them in the line. I'm hopeful that in these moments of my kindness that I am paying forward to that person, that someone will pay that forward to me later, that someone will have that kindness. It's a daily decision. It's not a passive trait. It's it's a decision that we make to give other humans just a little bit of space and kindness that we don't have to rush them. What was I going to save? Nothing. Burns up a lot of energy on my end. And we don't know what impact we are having when we give people space. We don't know what's going on in their world. And most of the time, the thing that I found in working with families and working with clients to this day, we all need that time and space where it is safe to be seen and acknowledged and not judged. That judgment, oh, it takes so much energy to judge someone else. Just tune out, give them some space. It's okay. So, in this today, I want you to think back to when you first learned about something, anything, when you learned something about yourself or other individuals, and how we all thought we had cutting edge technology. Back in the day, I was on top of the game. I was attending workshops. I came across a whole folder of certificates of continuing education credits and certificates of doing this class and that class. And all of it was moving along in the human spectrum and understanding how we tick. And I think that the basic principles are all still the same, but our approach to that is different. And I would like to believe that I have evolved with that. And it's not cramming handouts and worksheets to clients, but giving them the time and the space to be and to readjust their sails. We can't control the wind, but we can redirect our sails. We can redirect how we respond to them. We can look at how we respond to things in our life. So go through your boxes in the basement and assess what tools do you have that you're using that may be outdated. They may need some updating. And are you leading your interactions with other human beings with kindness? And on days that you can't find it in your soul to be kind, that's a good day to stay home. And we have those. We all have those days where I can't people. And that's okay. And on those days that you can't people, that's your body speaking, that's your soul saying, "Hey, we need some rest. We need some separation. We need to stop all the stimulation." There are days that I wake up and it's like, I just can't do it today. Well, I could make myself, but I'm not going to gain from it. I'm not going to learn from it. It's going to be so difficult that, it's not worth it. It's not worth the energy, and I am at risk of being unkind to another human being, and that just is not okay. So take the day, take the time, do your rest, and hydrate, you know? So, yeah, what do you need to release in your space? What are the things that are bothering you? What are the things that are caught up? Do you need to go float? I know that a lot of my float clients who also attend therapy or other things, and they will tell me, "Yeah, my therapist said I need to go float." I know my family and close friends will say, "You haven't floated lately, have you?" So it does change. And what the float environment is creating that time and space where you're in dark and you're in silence, and your brain has that opportunity to really rest and recover and learn how you can do things. Sometimes it's just the rest and recovery. Sometimes it's that creative outlet. Sometimes it just really allows you to address everything. And I know when I started the whole float business, my angle in floating is not necessarily the meditative side, but it is the healing, the chronic pain and inflammation, the PTSD, those anxiety things. And it dovetails so well into the movement in the entire float industry. So definitely check out the Float Research Collective. It's awesome. There's so much information there. So, So some downloads to go to theta. So just say yes out loud. This is going to be awesome. The downloads that I'm feeling for today is that we need to We need to remove that obligation to push through and work through our body signals. We need to remove that it's a sin to rest. Um, we need to remove whatever gets in the way of us being kind to other individuals, to stop and, do that 4 count breathing. If you're having a bad day and you still have to go in the store, do some 4 count breaths in the car before you go in, you know. Put yourself, find your mindset. So let's remove what prevents us from identifying our needs and our symptoms to take care of ourselves. Okay. That's big. Let's do that work. If you would like those, we'll just say yes out loud. We're also going to include the forgiveness. We're going to forgive ourselves, our higher power, and other people for not identifying and having the discernment when we're overwhelmed, and having that discernment to take better actions to care for ourselves so that we can be kinder to others. Okay, just say yes out loud. That feels awesome. That feels really awesome. So, drop a heart in the comments if you've ever outgrown some of those tools that once saved you. Sometimes you could count to 10 and now we need to move to 4 count breathing. Think of some of those basic tools. What are the things that you did? Um, Tag a healer or a counselor or someone that has helped you or who is currently helping you in your evolution. Because those letters are really great. And I had this letter that I found in my boxes, and just humor me for a moment. Dear Amanda, and this is from 1997. Well, just a note to let you know an update on Amy and myself. The beginning of the summer was a nightmare. I truly believed Amy and I was not going to have an enjoyable summer, but to my surprise, it was a it was great, and a lot of thanks goes to you. I can't remember when the last argument and or fight Amy and I had. I want to say when you was there way back in June. She has been her old self, the girl I knew before last spring. She's, of course, a typical teenager, but our days have been so much brighter. Amy is still dating the military boy. He's been really good for her. Every Saturday night was a race night for them. He obeys my rules and wishes. Amy has gained a lot of trust back in me. It's wonderful. Her outlook on school is so much more positive this year. And great. My thanks goes out to you for working with us and giving us the tools to work things out together. You taught us well. Uh, and then there's some personal things here, but it says, again, Amanda, thank you for being there for Amy and I. If there is any free time with you, please stop by and say hi. You're still in our daily thoughts. Sincerely. So give thanks. Give thanks to those people who helped you get to where you are. Even if it was a short encounter or anything, but that goes back into that whole gratitude practice. Have thanks and appreciation. So feel free to private message me or get a hold of me at any of the contacts. And don't forget tonight. Tonight is going to be exciting. Tonight on the Chronic Health Collective, I am getting together with my friend Christy Johnson and Cable Jones. Cable Jones is an incredible intuitive healer, and he is going to work on that whole grounding thing. So this is going to be exciting. Christy and I are going to be his students as he teaches a bit more about being grounded. So this will be 7 p.m. live on ETV. It'll also be on the Chronic Health Collective Facebook page as well, and YouTube. So definitely tune in for that. And if you're local here in the Bloomfield, Iowa area, I am participating with the Witches Brouhaha, which is a ladies' night on the Bloomfield Square. Um, just kind of Halloween, and several of the businesses will be open. They normally aren't open, but they will be this Friday night with all kinds of specials, tastings, all kinds of things, and I'll be doing readings there at Indigo Roots. So look forward to seeing everyone again next Tuesday. Uh, Certainly check in with me at amandabethhealing.com. /Linktree will get you to the proper social wherever you want to interact with me. That will be great. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you.